Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Gana Vallabha Girivardhari 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 Yashodanandana Brajagana Randana Jamuna Tira Vanam Chari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Gaura Pimanandi. Jai Vishupad Paramahamsa Pri Vrajagacharya Stotra Satya Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhai Charan Arvind Bhakti Raghava Swami Sri Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrind Ki Kandi Viti Founder Acharyas Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Namacharya Sri Haridas Thakur Ki Samavata Bhakta Vrind Ki Harinam Sankirtan Ki Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Nitai Gaura Premanande. All glories to be assembled devotees. All glories to be assembled devotees. All glories to be assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and to Sri Gauranga. All glories to Sri Prabhupada Ki. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Takshurumbilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swaparantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Parakamalam Sri Gurum Vaisnavam Sya Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakandritam Cha Hai Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kansana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Suti Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansakalpa Tarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Vyaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya
Narayanam Namaskritya
Naram Chaiva
Naram
Narotamam
Chaiva Narottamam
Devim Sarasatim
Devim
Vyasam
Saraswatim Vyasam
Tato Jayamudiraye.
Tato Jaya Mudiraye.
Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us first offer our respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayana Rishi, the supremmost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Sri Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayeshabhadreshu
Nashta Prayesh Abhadreshu
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Bhagavati Tamasloke unto the Supreme Lord. Transcendental songs becomes established as an Idam Bhagavatam Nama
Bhagavatam Nama
Puranam Brahmasamitam
Amritam
Utamashloke Charitam
Utamashloke Charitam
Chakara Bhagavan Rishi
Chakara Bhagavan Rishi
Nishreyasaya Lokasya
Nishreyasaya Lokasya
Dhanyam Swasyaya Namaha.
Dhanam Saranam.
This Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantaraj, king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God, the Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Shri Krishna Chaitanya
Shri Krishna Chaitanya
Prabhu Nityananda
Prabhu Nityananda
Sri Advaita Gadadhara
Sri Advaita Gadadhar
Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna Hare
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 Rama Hare
Hare
Rama
Rama Hare Rama
Rama Rama Hare
Rama
Hare
Rama Hare Hare
Om Namo Bhagavate
Om
Vasudevaya
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om 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 Sarabhyaya Namaha
Om Surabhyaya Namaha
Om Sarabhyaya Namaha
Om Surabhyaya Namaha
Om Sarabhyaya Namaha
Om Surabhyaya Namaha
Mukam karoti vasaram pagum langayate girim yatkripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam yatkripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Welcome to our morning Bhagavatam class, continuing from Canto number 1, chapter 9, entitled The Passing Away of Bhīṣmadeva. And today we're looking at text number 30, 35, huh? Yes. Sapadi,
Sapadi
Saki,
Sati
Vacho,
Vacho
nishamya
निशम्य
madhye
मध्ये
nija
निज
parayor
परयो
balayo
बलयो
ratham
रथम
niveshya
निवेश
stitavati
स्थितवती
para
परः
sainikayur
सैनिकायुर
akshna
अक्षण
ritavati
ऋतवती
partha
पार्थ
sakhe
सखे
ratir
रतिर
mamastu
ममास्तु
sapadi saki vacho nishamya madhye
सपदि सखी वचो निमश्य मदे
nija parayor balayo ratam nivesha
निज परयोर बलरथम निवेश
sitavati pada shanikayur akshna
ततवती पर सैनिकायुरक्षण
ritavati partha sakeratir mamastu
ऋतवती पार्थ सखे रतिर्ममस्तु
sapadi saki vacho nishamya madhye
सपादि सखी वचो निमश्य मध्ये
nija parayor balayo ratam niveshya
निज परयोर बलयोर रथम निवेश्य
Sitavati para shanikayur akshna
सीतावती पर सैनिकायुरक्षण
Ritavati partha sakeratir mamatsu
ऋतवती पार्थ सखे रतिर्ममस्तु
Sapadi saki vatso nishamya madhye
सपदि सखी वचो निशम्य मध्ये
Nija parayor balayor ratam
निज
niveshya
परयोर बलयोर रथम निवेश्य
Stitavati parashani kayar aksna
सीतावती पर सैनिकायुरक्षण
Ritavati partha saki ratir mamatsu
ऋतवती पार्थ सखे मतिर्ममस्तु
सपदि सखिवच निशाम्य मध्ये
सपदि सखी
Saki
वचो
vacho
निशम्य
nishamya
मध्ये
madhye
निज परयोर बलयोर रथम निवेश्य
निज
Nija
परयोर
parayor balayor
बलयोर रथम
ratam
निवेश्य
niveshya
तवति परसैनिकारुरक्षणा
सतवती
Sitavati
पर
parashanikayur
सैनिकायुरक्षण
akshna
हितवति पार्थ सखे रतिर्ममास्तु
ऋतवती
Ritavati
पार्थ
partha
सखे
sakiratir
रतिर्ममस्तु
mamastu
सपदि सखी वचो निमश्य मध्ये
Sapadi saki vachayo nishamya madhye
निज परियो बलियो रथम निवेश्य
Nija parayor balayor ratam nimishya
स्थितवती पर सैनिकायुरक्षण
Sitavati parashanikayur akshna
ऋतवती पार्थ सखे रतिर्ममस्तु
Ritavati partha sakiratir mamastu
सपदि सखी वचो निशम्य मध्ये
Sapadi saki vacho nishamya madhye
निज परियोर बलियो रथम निवेश्य
निज
Nija parayor
परियोर
balayor
बलयोर
ratam
रथम निवेश्य
niveshya
हितवती परसैनिकायुरक्षणा
Sitavati
सैनिकायुरक्षण
parashanikayur akshna
हितवती पार्थ सके रतिर्ममस्तु
ऋतवती
Ritavati
पार्थ
partha
सखे
sakiratir
रतिर्ममस्तु
mamastu
सपदे सखी बचो निशम्य मध्ये
Sapadi saki vacho
निशम्य
nishamya
मध्ये
निज
madhye
पारयोर्बलयोरथं निवेश्य
निज
Nija parayor
बलं
balayor
रथम
ratam
निवेश्य
niveshya
तवति परसैनिकायुरक्षणा
Krishna
तवति पार्थ सखेरतिर्ममस्तु
ऋतवती
Ritavati
पार्थ
partha
सखे
sakiratir
रतिर्ममस्तु
mamastu Sapadi
पदी
on the battlefield
on the battlefield
Saki vachaha
सखी वचः
command of the friend
command of the friend
Nishamya
निशम्य
after hearing
after hearing
Madhye
मध्ये
in the midst
in the midst
Nija
निज
his own
his own
Parayoho
परायोः
of the opposite party
of the opposite party
Balayoho
बलयोः
strength
strength
Ratham,
Ratham.
chariot,
Chariot.
Niveshya,
Nivesha.
having entered,
Having entered.
Stitavati,
Stitavati.
while staying there,
While staying there.
Parashainika,
Parasainika.
of the soldiers
Of the soldiers.
on the opposite side,
On the opposite side.
Ayuhu,
Ayuhu.
duration of life,
Duration of life.
Akshna,
Akshana.
by looking over,
By looking over.
Ritavati,
Ritavati.
act of diminishing,
Act of diminishing.
Partha,
Partha.
O Arjuna,
O Arjuna.
son of Pritha,
So Anuprita.
Kunti,
Kunti.
Sake,
Sake.
unto the friend,
Unto the friend.
Ratihi,
Ratihi.
intimate relation,
Intimate relation.
Mama,
Mama.
my,
My.
Astu,
Astu.
let there be.
Let there be.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki.
Jai.
In obedience to the command of his friend, the Lord Sri Krishna entered the arena of the battle of Kurukshetra between the soldiers of Arjuna and Duryodhana. And while there, he shortened the lifespans of the opposite party by his merciful glance. This was done simply by his looking at the enemy. Let my mind be fixed upon that Krishna. Kindly repeat after me. In obedience
In obedience
to the command of his friend,
to the command of his friend,
Lord Sri Krishna
Lord Shri Krishna
entered the arena
entered the arena
of the battlefield of Kurukshetra
of the battlefield of Kurukshetra
between the soldiers
between the soldiers
of Arjuna and Duryodhana.
of Arjuna and Duryodhana.
And while there,
And while there,
he shortened the lifespans
he shortened the lifespan
of the opposite party
of the opposite party
by his merciful glance.
by his merciful glance.
This was done simply
This was done simply
by his looking
by looking
at the enemy.
at the enemy.
Let my mind
Let my mind
be fixed upon
be fixed upon
that Krishna.
that Krishna.
Purport. In the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 1, text 21 to 25, Arjuna ordered the infallible Lord Sri Krishna to place his chariot between the phalanxes of the soldiers. He asked him to stay there until he had finished observing the enemies he had to face in the battle. When the Lord was so asked, he at once did so, just like an order carrier. And the Lord pointed out all the important men on the opposite side, saying, "Here is Bhīṣma, here is Drona," and so on. The Lord, being the supreme living being, is never the order supplier or order carrier of anyone, whoever he may be. But out of his causeless mercy and affection for his pure devotees, sometimes he carries out the order of the devotee like an awaiting servant. By executing the order of a devotee, the Lord becomes pleased, as a father is pleased to carry out the order of his small child. This is possible only out of pure transcendental love between the Lord and his devotees. And Bhismadeva was quite aware of this fact. He therefore addressed the Lord as the friend of Arjuna. The Lord diminished the duration of life of the opposite party by his merciful glance. It is said that all the fighters who assembled on the battlefield of Kurukshetra attained salvation by personally seeing the Lord at the time of death. Therefore, his diminishing the duration of life of Arjuna's enemy does not mean that he was partial to the cause of Arjuna. Factually, he was merciful to the opposite party because they would not have attained salvation by dying at home in the ordinary course of life. Here was a chance to see the Lord at the time of death and thus attain salvation from material life. Therefore, the Lord is all good, and whatever he does is for everyone's good. Apparently, it was for the victory of Arjuna, his intimate friend, but factually, it was for the good of Arjuna's enemies. Such are the transcendental of the Lord, and whoever understands this also gets salvation after quitting this material body. The Lord does no wrong in any circumstances because he is absolute, all good at all times. Translation again. In obedience to the command of his friend, Lord Sri Krishna entered the arena of the battlefield of Kurukshetra between the soldiers of Arjuna and Duryodhana. And while there, he shortened the lifespans of the opposite party by his merciful glance. This was done simply by his looking at the enemy. Let my mind be fixed upon that Krishna. So the merciful glance of the Lord, if one is fortunate to somehow get the attention of the Lord, just like Srila Prabhupada would explain that his Guru Maharaj used to say, don't try to see Krishna, don't try to see God. You should act in such a way that God can see you. Isn't it? Nice understanding. We should act in such a way that we will attract the attention of Krishna. Attracting the attention of Krishna means attracting his mercy. Attracting his mercy means attracting his blessings. Without the blessings of the Lord, without the blessings of the Lord's devotees, we cannot be successful. So here in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is pointing out that although Lord Krishna had taken the side of the Pandavas, he accepted to be the chariot driver of Arjuna. But because he was physically present, facing the enemy, when Arjuna requested, this is being referred to here by Grandfather Bhīṣmadeva, Arjuna wanted to have a close-up. Who's all there? So Lord Krishna, as his chariot driver, pulled up the four horses in the middle, in between. Famous picture is there. And Krishna was pointing out, there is Bhishma, there is Arjuna, there is Karna. like that. There is Dronacharya. Uh, so mm, this is um, very inconceivable how the Lord, when that type of relationship is established with his uh, pure devotees, the Lord becomes pleased actually to become, we could say, subservient, right? We see picture, this is Krishna.
Yes, yes.
Krishna is before, is in the front of Arjuna. So we say, oh, nice, nice seva, nice position, nice picture also. But a chariot driver is not only a chariot driver um, when he is uh, riding on the chariot. Chariot driver means he looks after the horses, means he has to give food to the horses, means he has to wash the horses, isn't it?
Yes.
Krishna was not only riding on the horse, but he was also doing these different things. Uh, we hear of during the Rajasuya sacrifice, Krishna accepting very humble position of receiving the guests by taking their shoes,
Yes, yes, yes.
isn't it? I mean, even ordinary devotees don't want to do that. That's seva. But uh, it means that uh, these activities and this understanding is only possible if one has developed pure consciousness, isn't it? If one actually is understanding about devotion. Krishna uh, therefore exchanges in all kinds of wonderful ways with his pure devotees. And, and the Lord, um, he experiences transcendental pleasure uh, in these different types of relationship, including those where just like in this example, where Arjuna is actually commanding, giving orders. You don't normally give orders to God, right? Because he's in a superior position. But he voluntarily, out of love and affection for his devotees, takes on uh, a subordinate position. Mm. So this is just like in um, in the Bhagavatam, there's mentioned how God, he is the supreme personality of Godhead, uh, and the spiritual master and Vaishnavas in general, they are meant to be, especially this is in referring to the spiritual master, he's meant to be the supreme personality of servitor Godhead, servitor, because service, and Krishna demonstrates this in so many of his pastimes, service is the uh, the essence actually of bhakti, isn't it? Mm. Therefore, developing what is called service mood, developing a service attitude is uh, is very important when we live, especially in ashram. Just like we're living in ashram. If we live in a temple, very important to develop this mood and mentality of service. Otherwise, why are we here? Isn't it? We're here because Krishna and Balaram are here. We go to a temple because the Lord is there. And we render various services because we know that by this service the Lord will be pleased. The Lord is a person. So in ashram, where many devotees are living, unless we learn how to develop more and more this kind of mentality, this kind of service attitude, then ashram life will not be happy, isn't it? So Krishna is taking on these different roles and positions of becoming subordinate, of agreeing to be chastised by Mother Yashoda in Vrindavan, because he himself relishes this whole aspect of seva or service. So it's also mentioning here how even the enemies, those who were fighting against the Pandavas, because as we read from the Bhagavatam, Ante Narayana Smriti, at the end of one's life, if one is able to remember Narayana or Krishna, then one's life is successful. One attains liberation. So all those who saw Krishna on the battle of Kurukshetra, although they were fighting against him, because they had the vision or the darshan of the Lord, they attained salvation. Anyone actually who comes in contact with a devotee, anyone who renders any kinds of seva, even they don't have to render any seva, just by seeing a devotee. Just like Srila Prabhupada, when he was traveling, so many people actually, that is called agyata sukriti, without even knowing who that person is. Just like Prabhupada, actually one devotee was narrating. You can see this actually on videos. There are many scenes, there are many videos that are showing the arrival of Prabhupada in an airport. You've seen maybe some of those videos. Either Prabhupada is arriving or leaving, because in those days there were not so many restrictions. Devotees could go and they would go in large numbers also. And just you can just like think about the scene in an airport. Usually in an airport there's so many regulations and everyone is very serious because everybody has to catch a flight, everything. And then all of a sudden you see like 50 or 100 people just chanting and dancing. Right?
Yes, I see.
Huh?
I see that video.
Yeah. There are many videos like this. And so one time a devotee who was there also, part of this whole scene, the devotees were waiting to receive Prabhupada. Prabhupada was arriving on the flight. The devotees had gone and they were chanting, very heavy, ecstatic mood. And this one devotee, he was looking at two non-devotees. They were curious, naturally, what are these people doing? And why are they jumping up and down? And one could, it was like a whole, a whole atmosphere, a whole different type of vibration, a whole type of energy was created, by the devotees in that really ecstatic mood. And this devotee was seeing these two like people, they were watching, and they could understand that this is not usual. Something is about to happen, what is that something that is about to happen? Well, after some time, the flight arrived, and it takes a little time for the passengers to get off a flight. And so many passengers were getting off and coming out. And then when that moment came, when Prabhupada actually was visible, the kirtan, which was already at its height, became even higher, And so the energy that was there became like triple or quadruple, whatever. And this devotee was still looking at these two people. And devotees, whenever they would see, that's part of our culture, when you see such a personality as Prabhupada, one offers, dandavats. So when Prabhupada came out, all the devotees offered their dandavats, and just out of sheer ecstasy, and the devotee was still looking at these two, they also offered their dandavats, and they had tears in their eyes. They were caught up. They were caught up in that whole mood and atmosphere.
Tears in non-devotee guys.
Non-devotees.
Tears.
Yes. Yeah, because it was like it was surcharged energy that it affected them. They had no idea who this. I mean, they might maybe have never seen devotees before, and they definitely probably never seen Prabhupada also. But it was a whole like emotional, very intense type of experience, and they were part of it, So in a similar way, actually, the enemies fighting against the Pandavas, when they were facing Krishna, when Arjuna asked Arjuna to bring the chariot, so they had a closer view, right? Closer darshan. Krishna was closer, and simply by that glance, they, even without knowing, they got that benefit. That is how, of course, the Lord and the Lord's pure devotee, but any Vaishnava, Vaishnava is compared to, we're talking about champaka or champak flower.
Yes.
Some flowers have very wonderful fragrance, isn't it? So it is said that if there is a forest, and if in that forest, even if it's a big forest, there is one tree that is a flower tree, then the aroma from the flowers of that tree will permeate, isn't it? Will go throughout the whole forest. So a Vaishnava is like that. A devotee is like that. That's why Prabhupada, in the early days, because he understood this perfectly well, he would send devotees. Oh, you go to Malaysia, you go to Japan, you go to China. Wow, China, oh my God. And devotees would happily take that seva. And actually, because devotees were trained in that way, in that understanding, in that mentality, then miracles actually happen. That's why today so many temples and so many devotees. I mean, Prabhupada went to Russia. He spent 3 or 5 days, just a few days in Russia. He met only one Russian person. Prabhupada went there with a few American disciples, and he was restricted. He was not allowed to go here or there. He had one meeting with one professor, Professor Katowski, and I just heard recently, actually this is on the video. You can read the interview. Maybe you've seen the interview between Professor Katowski, who was communist, and so Prabhupada was having this discussion about Vedic culture, about Varnashrama Dharma, and what. So this professor, although professor, was being Gnostic, was not accepting, not appreciating, not understanding. But Prabhupada was very merciful to him, actually. So just about 2 months ago, actually, I heard that the same professor, after many, many years, he went to one of our temples in Russia, and he was amazed, because Prabhupada, that was the first time he went. No, there were no devotees in Russia at that time, and so this devotee who was telling me the story was mentioning that some devotees recognized, oh, this is that professor, And they noticed he was sitting, participating in the program and hearing the lecture and seeing all of these Russian people who are supposed to be communists are now devotees. So he was so emotionally affected. He was like tears actually. The devotees noticed tears were coming down because he could understand that this person who I met, who I interviewed, or who interviewed me, I don't know, 30, 40 years back, whatever it was, maybe it wasn't that long, but uh, his idea and his whole, what he was talking about actually became true. He was coming to my country, to Russia, to introduce Vedic culture, and wow, you know, now all of these people who are my comrades, my patriots, they've all become devotees. He said he was amazed. He was amazed. So actually, this is the miracle of uh, of Srila Prabhupada. This is the miracle that anyone. I was quoting that verse, Kali Kali Tar Pravartan, Krishna Shakti, unless one receives the Shakti, the mercy, blessings. So that means even now, anyone who goes anywhere in the world and sits down, this was the process started by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, followed also by Srila Prabhupada when he went to Nepal. You just go anywhere, sit down, and chant Hare Krishna. There's bound to be somebody who's going to stop and say, what's he doing? Why he's sitting there and what he's chanting. People who don't know about Vedic culture, they naturally will have that question. So this is what the devotees did also, isn't it? They followed directly in Prabhupada's footsteps. They went to the different countries. They continued to go to different places. And it's the same phenomena, the same formula, the same practice, the same approach, the same understanding. If we become connected with Krishna, if we take the words of um, our Vaishnavacharyas, if we take the words of Bhagavad Gita to heart, and if we sincerely endeavor, then we become also blessed by Krishna. We become actually empowered. You see, Krishna empowered Srila Prabhupada, isn't it? I mean, who in the world? It's like, if you want to do something, you have to have a plan, usually. You have to have the contacts. You have to have, there are 4 things Prabhupada mentions. 4 things are needed. Manpower, land, organization, and paisa, money. Yeah. Normally, these are the 4 things that make something successful. Of course, you need to have Krishna's, you know, his sanction, his blessing, right? That is mentioned actually in the Bhagavad Gita. There are 5 things for any activity to become successful: the person, the place, the endeavor, the tools, and daiva. Daiva, the divine. Yes, the divine blessings. Yeah. So anyone who actually takes on this mood, this mentality, will attract Krishna's attention, will attract Krishna's blessings, will attract Krishna's Shakti or energy. So therefore, uh, devotees pray actually to be blessed, isn't it, in their various endeavors to either to advance, because alone we cannot practice nicely, we cannot advance in Krishna consciousness, and alone also we cannot spread the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this point is very nicely being made here by Grandfather Bhīṣmadeva. Just like the enemies of the Pandavas, Duryodhana's, all of Duryodhana's friends, uh, they were blessed by having the darshan of the Lord. So likewise, we should um, endeavor to give similar blessing to people by giving them an opportunity to come in contact with the culture and the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. And there are many different ways to do this. Um, just like there is Bhadra Punima, which is today, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
Today
Yes.
is Punima. Today is Bhadra Punima. We started it. So Bhadra Punima every year is very nicely, since a number of years, very in a very special way being celebrated, because there is a target. There's a whole group of devotees, different parts of the world, and under the good guidance and direction of one devotee called Vaisheshika Prabhu, who's based in California in the US. And he's been encouraging devotees and inspiring devotees from different countries, especially here in India, which is like the largest. They are distributing sets of Bhagavatam. And it is said that anyone who receives a set of Bhagavatam on this auspicious day of Bhadra Purnima, the doors to Vaikuntha, Goloka, are open. Yeah.
Prabhupada mentioned in the purport,
Yes. Which purport?
Bhagavad Gita purport.
Yes.
He mentioned,
About Bhadra Purnima.
whoever gives Bhagavatam
Bhag-
set on the any Purnima.
Yes.
who
But
gets-
especially Bhadra Purnima. Yeah. Any day, if we give any book to anybody, that person is, of course, benefited. But on Bhadra Purnima, there's a special Shakti that is there, special, yeah. So today is, Bhadra Purnima. And we are trying, we here in our small project here in Nandigram in Sri Mayapur, to actually, we should try to understand what we're trying to do, isn't it? There are many ways to uh, enable and facilitate people to come in contact with Krishna through his books and hear the overall teachings. What is the name of our center here? Varnashram Resource Center.
Yes.
What's a resource center?
resource
Resource,
where we collect sources from.
where we collect resources. Resource means resource.
Take knowledge and distribute others.
Take knowledge and distribute. Yes. So this center is meant to be a place where especially we are focusing on presenting and explaining and introducing this whole aspect of Varnashrama Dharma. So Bhagavad Dharma, Varnashrama Dharma, the Sanatan Dharma is something that is very deep and profound, and actually those who are disconnected means those who don't know about Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, they're disconnected with Sanatan Dharma. They can not actually be successful in life, and therefore our objective is to introduce this aspect which Prabhupada very much wanted to introduce, Varnashrama Dharma, by creating a place where people can come, they can receive knowledge, they can take different courses, different classes that will be starting actually on next month, on the first day of Kartik, which is actually the 18th. Today is 18th of September.
Yes.
The next 18th will be 18th of October.
Yes.
Exactly in 1 month from now, we will be starting actually our VCF Kartik semester. Already quite a few teachers have come forward to give different courses, and we'll be making that known. We'll be publishing actually the names and the of the teachers and the courses before the end of this month, in the next few weeks. So we already have all of you who are students
Yes, yes.
for this. And then yesterday, our Krishna Charan Prabhu arrived, and others will be coming as well, actually, in the next couple of weeks. So that's one of the reasons we want to make our place as as attractive as possible, so that the atmosphere is very congenial for studying, and so that everything is also reminding us of Vrindavan, because wherever we are living, we want to create that atmosphere, that mood of Vrindavan. And what is the mood of Vrindavan, as we were discussing earlier, is seva, service, isn't it? Krishna becomes attracted to those who are rendering service. Srimati Radharani also becomes attracted to those who are engaged in serving Krishna. So there are many, actually between now and the end of the month especially, we're trying to, now that the major work is completed, the road is done. Now, to a large extent, we have to maintain keeping things neat and clean, and try to help manifest this portion of the Krishna Balaram garden, so that we can have nice flowers to offer to Krishna Balaram, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra, Shri Gaunitai, and Shri Radha Madhava as well. So that means that all of us will have maybe some special meeting and discussions how we can, what specific things we can be doing. So any questions or comments on this text?
Prabhuji, Maharajji,
Yes.
how many Vrindavan villages is there now?
How many Vrindavan villages?
Yes.
I have not counted, but wherever we have communities, we have a number of rural communities. So Vrindavan is village, isn't it? Vrindavan village. So we have maybe possibly not that many, possibly 60 or 80 places where there are devotees who are living in the country, who are growing food, who are keeping cows, and they are all at different stages or levels of development. Yeah. So just like here, this will also become a small Vrindavan village, although it's very small, because wherever the Lord is present, wherever we are growing food, we're planning to keep cow, make small gosala here. So this is on the small scale, will be a replica of Vrindavan, but we need to make in such a way that actually it will be allowing different families. You know, Prabhupada wanted that we create farming communities where we have many families. Ultimately, we need to revive, reestablish, reintroduce the prototype that Krishna manifested 5,000 years ago, which is village, Vrindavan village, isn't it? And which continued, I mean, even today in many places, of course, much less than before, because more and more people, as we know, have been leaving villages, going to the city, etc., for different reasons. But we still have, India is blessed, is actually blessed in many ways, because it still has, one of the countries that still has a large percentage of people living in villages. Although the villages have become more and more modernized, isn't it? Now we have, to a large extent, what we call urban villages. Urban villages. So, yeah, so that needs to be that's one of the reasons we're here, to actually increase that. Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki. Gaura Pinamande. Hare Krishna.